front of me like you do.
Five, four, three, two, one. Hello, and welcome to this edition of Pop and Scott Talk Baseball. As you can see, I'm back at the old homestead with the Padre, with the Bears and Santa and everything on this Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And I hope everybody's having a nice, relaxing couple of days off. So I thought last week we kind of tied up the whole Otani thing. We're just going to get this out of the way today. So I knew it. They were moving that money around for Yamamoto. Yep. I've been saying it, and sure enough, they got him because I kept reading about the New York teams. Philly was in the mix, all these teams, and I knew what was going to happen, especially after the great Japanese player Otani went there. It's going to be easier to attract those type of players there. So, I mean, there's a no-brainer, right? I mean,
well, yes, the Yankees were supposed to be in the lead for him. Well, and then the Mets were the last team he talked to before he went back to the Dodgers after he interviewed with them. But the thing with the Yankees was that they offered him a contract, basically the same thing that the Dodgers did, but they had an opt-out after 5 years, and the Dodgers didn't. I read that this morning, and that was one reason he decided not to go with the Yankees, because they didn't like the opt-out. So it was he went with the Dodgers. And anyway, because Otani had recruited him, and so did LeBron. LeBron even talked to him. So,
well, my question is okay. We talked. Of course, I've been here since yesterday. We've been talking a lot about this. I mean, he has yet to face a major league player.
They're basing a lot on how well the
projection, right?
The Zenga kid did with the Mets last year. So they figured if he had a good year with the Mets. So
I don't know if it's $300 million 10 years though.
Well, I mean, we won't know.
Right.
We won't know until he pitches. And the other thing is, with all Japanese pitchers, they pitch on the sixth day, and they don't have a 166 game schedule either. So those are two, and they don't face.
They have more
major
days
league
off
hitters
in a week. Yeah, they only pitch like once every week.
And they don't face major league hitting. So we don't know. The only thing there's two things I can gather out of this. One, anything is an improvement to what the Dodgers had, because we talked about it last week. Right. They had one guy that gets injured all the time, another guy coming off injury, and three lawn chairs. That was their starting lineup.
Right.
That was their starting pitching, because it looks like now Kershaw is more likely to sign hometown in Texas and go to the Rangers for his last year or two. But he may come back, but I mean, he's on Social Security. So Yamamoto is an upgrade to what they had. So we'll just see. That's one thing. The second thing is, I was hoping he wasn't going to go to the Dodgers, because now they got a super team. But the good thing is he didn't go to the Yankees. So
you say they got a super team, and I agree to a certain extent, because now they have their number one or two pitchers. I mean, you got him and Bueller, which we don't know Bueller what we got coming back. Glass now, again, another one. You don't know
who is a good pitcher when he's healthy.
Right. So, but to sit there and say, because in baseball it's a little different than other sports where, like basketball, can have a super team. You only need 5 guys. If 3 of them are scorers, then you got a super team. The major leagues, it's a long season. You got to have everybody there all the time. So we'll wait and see. But that just makes the people that love the Dodgers love them even more than people that hate them. I mean, they're kind of the Yankees in the West Coast.
Well, I mean, come on. How many of these teams in all these leagues go out, especially look at the NBA. They go out there and they try to get these super teams, and they may win one championship, and then they don't do much after that.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just let's face it, in every sport, except the NFL, where you've got that very strong salary cap that limits everybody to a certain extent, the big market teams try to try to get the best players, and that's what they do. But having the best players doesn't always mean you win.
Right.
So, I mean, we talked about it last week. Arizona and Texas in the World Series. I don't know anybody that picked that.
Right.
So,
and I mean, and it seems like he's going to get his contract structured. So who knows who else they're going to bring in? I've already seen some rumors and stuff. I mean, they might bring back Bellinger. Who knows?
Well, they're talking about there were a lot of minor signings this week for bullpens and things like that. But the Bellinger,
Blake Snell
and Montgomery and some of these other higher ranked free agents, the teams are, from what I've read, the teams are waiting for the numbers to come down. They don't want to pay what the agents want. Nobody wants to pay Bellinger $200 million a year when he's had one good season in the last 5.
Yeah, he's going to have to bet on himself and sign like maybe a 4-year deal with 2 years guaranteed and a third team option, maybe, for him to.
But nobody wants to pay that $200 million. Now,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's not going to be able to do it.
If somebody gets desperate enough, but I mean, I read about they said the Cubs, people in Chicago are screaming because the Cubs hadn't done anything. Well, they're waiting for all the other teams to say, well, I'm not paying Bellinger $200 million, and he might come back to them for $100 million.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what the Cubs are waiting on. So I'm assuming the other teams are doing the same thing. The Yankees might overpay for a pitcher because now they've got to hope that Rondon comes back and he's anywhere near what he was with the White Sox.
Right.
And he's got a bad back. And anybody with a bad back like I have, that never go. Once you have a bad back, you always have a bad back.
Right.
So he's going to be plagued by that from now on. So who knows? So they may be desperate enough to pay for a Montgomery or something, but they're definitely not going to go after Bellinger because they don't need any more hitters. They don't need any more outfielders. They're not. If they spend their money, it's got to be on pitching.
Yeah, that's still a lot of interesting moves to be made here in the last few weeks. Well, because it is once we get into the first of the year, you start looking at pitchers and catchers in about 8 weeks, 2 months.
Well, they started February.
Right.
February is where February 15th or something like that is when pitchers and catchers report.
So
and then they're going to have that spring breakout or whatever you want to call it in early March during the middle of.
I need to look into that.
And that's going to be with the minor league players of all the major league teams. All their minor leaguers are going to be playing, like a tournament of some sort. It sounds like. I mean, they didn't really.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it might be kind of a lot of fun. But see, the other thing is too. You talk about the salaries and the salaries. Well, I've got some information here. In the luxury tax, this is what the teams have to pay for the 2023 season. 8 teams were over the salary cap. The Rangers have to pay $1.8 million. The Braves $3.2 million. The Toronto Blue Jays $5.5 million. The Philadelphia Phillies $7.0. They got to pay $7 million. Now, to their owners, this is a rounding error. That money means nothing. This is pocket change. But now the Dodgers is $19.4 million. The Yankees $32.4 million. The Padres $39.7 million, and the Mets have to pay $100.8 million. I don't care how rich you are, that's not a rounding error.
Well, the Padres are already trying to fix that. They got rid of.
Oh, they're trying to.
They got rid of a couple players.
Yeah, they're trying to buy, but that's what that's right now. That's what they have to pay.
Right. Yeah, and I mean the Dodgers, they are trying to fix that because they're giving these huge contracts, but it's all deferred money.
Yeah, they're deferring everything, and they got rid of Turner and Turner,
right,
and a couple of other guys. Let Bellinger walk just so they could get the salary space to because they knew last year, and from what I've heard now, Ohtani knew last year in spring training before his last year that this year he was going to be with the Dodgers.
Right.
All this other stuff's been smoke and mirrors.
Right.
That was they knew, his people knew, and the Dodgers kind of knew that he was going to be there, but they had to sweeten the deal. That's why they did what they did. But
Right.
since it's deferred,
I mean, it's going to hit South. I mean, yeah, this whole MLB needs to step in and do something, but it's not going to happen because of the Players Association.
yeah, the players union will not. They're all for this.
Right. The players are, especially
in their union, and the representatives are too, because they get 10%.
Yeah, and I mean, what a great way! I mean, what a retirement plan! You're going to give me $700 million, and while I'm relevant, I can make ad revenue all I want.
Yeah, I mean,
and then when I'm done playing, I'm going to be making all that money.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna see Yamamoto, and you're gonna see Yamamoto and Shohei Ohtani all over California television, standing there with the Pizza Hut box between them, doing a Pizza Hut commercial. They're going to be doing commercials.
I bet you Japanese. They're already probably doing Japanese.
They're already, ladies and gentlemen. There won't. If you're going to Japan, don't go there to buy a Dodger jersey, because you're not going to find one, because all of Yamamoto and Otani's. There's about 100 million people in Japan, and there's going to be 100 million jerseys sold.
That's
so
right.
That's
yeah. They can't make them fast enough.
No,
already.
They can't make them fast enough in LA. They say.
Right. Yeah. So that's. I can tell you, I've never been a Dodger fan. I'm still not a Dodger fan, but it's going to be interesting to watch. And for me, interesting to watch, because it just seems like West Coast gets kind of forgotten. Mookie Betts was kind of forgotten. When he went to Dodgers, it was like, oh, Mookie's in Dodgerland, and everybody got hyped, and then it died really, really fast. Freddie Freeman's never got the love he was supposed to have, and that he should have as a ball player, or should have to this day.
Yeah.
As one of the best hitting players ever. And then, they go.
Well,
to
their
the
games
West
come
Coast.
on. If their games start at 7:00, like the Nationals do, then that's 10:00 our time. So, like an old guy like me that goes to bed at 11:15,
right?
I'm going to see 4 innings. I mean,
you're not even started if you're going to bed.
Right. I mean, it's like watching Monday Night Football till halftime and hitting the bed. I mean, it's just I don't see the end of games much when they're on at night.
Right. Yeah, and that's I just
So here's another thing though with television, the power of the television networks and how much money they generate to all these leagues. Do not be surprised if you see a lot more, especially on the weekends, the Dodgers playing day games. Right. So their games will start at 1:00 LA time, and we'll get them at 4. So maybe Saturday and Sunday you're going to be seeing these guys playing at 4:00 in the afternoon on the East Coast, so you can see the games.
Right.
Or they might even drop their. They can't do it much because people have to get off work to go to the games at 7. Right. That's a struggle sometimes. So they can't drop it back so much, but they can still drop a few games in the week back to 4:00.
Well, Thursday for the getaway days.
Yeah, they go back to playing a day game.
Yeah, or something like
that. But they got to figure. They're going to figure out. Well, then they play half of their games on the road. So the problem is. There's a lot of the games are played in San Diego and San Francisco, so you still have the same problem.
Right.
But the West Coast, and then when they have to play play Seattle in the interleague, so it's still the West Coast. You just don't see it on the East Coast, right. And so the players are, like you said, they're hidden a little bit. I mean, this year the Angels were shown more than ever because of what Ohtani was doing.
Right. Yeah, and I mean me and you watched Angels games just to see Ohtani play.
Right.
That
was the night he was pitching and he almost hit for the cycle.
Yeah, at the same time, he was pitching like a one-hitter and missed the cycle by like 5 feet.
And that's the only problem I have with people saying that he's overrated. I've never seen anything like him.
Right.
I've been watching baseball since I was a kid. I've seen some of the greatest players of all time. Jackie Robinson, Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, Hank Aaron, you name it, on up to some of the great players, like Jeter and that from the lately. I'm gonna tell you what, I've never seen anything like this dude.
Right.
No.
And I mean, even if he is just let's say he can't pitch again, his arm injury is so bad he can't pitch again. But what we've seen out of him is amazing. I mean,
he's going to be
but it's not worth $700 million if he can't pitch it.
Well,
they have to win.
There's more to him being worth. Like I said this last week. I know
the Dodgers are going to make a buck ton of money from him.
He generated $200 million worldwide 2 years ago. So there's a lot more to him. It's just like LeBron.
And
He
you
went
have-
to LA and they won one championship in the bubble. They haven't won one since. But the Lakers are, every time they're on television, there's gazillion people watching, and he generates all kinds of money for that franchise.
Right.
I mean, it's there's more to him, to Ohtani and Yamamoto for that matter, than
Now
just baseball.
You got two of them now that you got. I mean, the Asian market is. I mean, you have more Asian players now than I think ever, probably in MLB, that are especially making a difference. I'm interested to see what this young buck from South Korea does in the Giants organization.
And Yuki Matsui,
right,
the 28-year-old reliever, this week signed a 4-year deal with San Diego.
yeah, and
Or it was 5 years. It was 5 years for $24 million. I mean, that's not a whole lot of money, but he's a reliever. He's not a starter.
right, and I mean, so it's going to be interesting, and I can't wait for this. I'm already.
And the other
eager
thing
for the
about Blake
season to
Snell is that the betting money is that he's going to wind up in San Francisco. That's the betting money. So who knows? But if they can come to some sort of an agreement, San Francisco.
I just feel like somebody's going to overpay for him and Montgomery.
That's true.
One of the
and it could be the Yankees.
Yeah,
or Boston.
Yeah, one of the
both of them need pitching.
Mets need a pitcher.
Well, see, here's what I read about the Mets, and that was that they're gonna take their time and kind of get all their ducks in a row and try to make a move for 2025, not 2024.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard. Now
I would love to see that because their owner wants to win so bad.
Yeah, but he's part of the deal here. I mean, he
didn't buy the team to not win. That's what
he didn't try it out. He offered the same money for Yamamoto as the Yankees and the Dodgers did.
And he backed out of the Ohtani stuff.
And he backed out of the Ohtani deal because it was a circus.
Yeah. So he knew that was. I didn't want it. Smart money doesn't put that.
Well, you and I both said we wouldn't pay that kind of money for a DH.
Right.
But there's a lot more to him than that. If you're just interested in making money, the Dodgers are going to make money.
Right.
Because they're paying him $2.4 million a year. They're going to make money.
And bake it to pay him later. I mean, that's.
Well, see, if he never pitches again, if he goes back to where he can play the outfield, and he's just not a DH, then, that frees up a position. You can add somebody who is an older ball player that is an excellent DH.
Right.
And that frees that up because he can play the outfield. So there's all kinds of options here. But my worry is that this man, as great as he is going to try to come back as a pitcher. He's already had one Tommy John surgery. He claims that this was not Tommy John. It was another elbow surgery, but they're all basically the same.
Right.
So
I don't think the ligament got replaced.
But that's two on the same elbow. So you come back and pitch again. What are you going to do? Who was the young pitcher that his arm almost fell off on the mound? It actually snapped because he'd had 2 operations and he kept trying to pitch.
Right.
And it was weak and it broke.
Well, it's not unheard of for people to have 2 Tommy John surgeries. I mean, there's been players that got his in high school or college and then again early in the majors.
And I blame that a lot on
overpitching.
on these kids playing at 10 years old, they're playing travel ball. 12 years old, they're playing travel ball, and they're playing 45, 50 ball games a summer.
Right.
And it's wearing them. I mean, it's not good on their young bodies. And then when they get to high school, then they play high school ball. Then they play AAU ball when school's out. I mean, high school kids used to play American Legion, and it was, there was games during the summer, but it didn't last all summer.
Right.
Now they play AAU ball. I teach kids at church. I have 2 children in the 5th grade, 2 boys in the 5th grade. They play year round. They play summer, they play travel, and they play fall ball. The fall ball. And I said, well, you don't play in the winter, do you? Oh, yes, sir. We go inside and play wiffle ball. They play in a wiffle ball league in the winter on the inside. Now, indoors. So I'm going, oh, my gosh. I mean, I told one of them, I said,
wiffle ball's got pretty big.
Oh, yeah. I said, look, guys, try something. When you get higher, when you start going to middle school and high school, try another sport. Try to play basketball or, any soccer. Do something. Try to diversify yourself. But They love baseball so much. That's what they want to do. So,
Oh, I wish I could have had a chance to do that.
wow. I
Instead of
mean,
playing something else.
but you're talking about fifth grade boys that are
right,
playing baseball year round.
right,
I personally, I kind of find that I don't particularly care for that.
right.
But that's, hey, not my decision. They seem to be happy. They're
I
good.
don't
They're
know.
great kids. Both of them are fantastic kids. So,
As much as I like playing other sports, there was just a placeholder until I got back to the baseball season.
well, yeah. When I was growing up, I
So
was mediocre in everything. I mean, it's my golf and bowling score were the same, 120. I was the mediocre guy. I was just, but I just loved to play. And a lot of times when we were coming up, we didn't have little league.
right.
We played in the backyard, and
Same
after the
life.
second inning, we forgot what the score was, and you just kept playing. You didn't care. Oh, when we were talking about catching the ball with one hand and fundamentals in that one show, I didn't forgot to tell everybody. One of the reasons we caught with two hands was the gloves.
Right.
In the 1950s, my mom gave me a glove. I don't know where she got it, but it was like Ty Cobb's glove. It didn't even have the rawhide between the fingers. It was just you caught the ball in the palm. The palm was padded, and then I put a little sponge back there, and I could catch the ball in the palm of my glove. The other thing, when we played up at school, behind the school, or in somebody's yard, not everybody had a glove. So when you were in the field, you played with the glove. You dropped the glove. You came in to bat, and the guys came out there and got the gloves, and whoever didn't have the gloves went to the off field where the ball was less likely to be hit because they'd have to try to catch the ball bare hand. I mean, that's the way we played. We had two bats we shared, and we went to one father would take us to Parker Field in Richmond to watch a doubleheader on a Sunday, and we watched the first game. And in the second game, the kids went out in the parking lot. Now we couldn't do it today because somebody probably, you'd be in trouble. But we'd go out in the parking lot, and the foul balls that came out of the stands, all the kids would be out there from different parts of Richmond, and you'd be scrambling for the ball. So you get a couple, 3 balls. That's what you played with during the summer. And when the rawhide came off, you took your dad's electrician's black shiny tape and wrapped it, and then you played with that. And the ball flew farther too. So that was another thing we liked about that. But that's how we played coming up. We didn't have organized little league.
Right.
And to me, sometimes I think we had more fun.
Right. Probably. Sometimes. I don't know.
I mean, we didn't have anybody out there watching us.
Right.
But that wasn't important. We were just playing baseball.
Right. So this week, that was the big news was Yamamoto. Couple, like you said, other little moves. Christmas usually not much. Usually now we're going to probably have to wait till after first year. I wouldn't be surprised though if somebody did get signed between here and New Year's.
Well, I mean, it depends if if there's two things: is somebody desperate, or are the agents going to drop down the prices?
Right.
That's one of those two things has to happen.
I think what's going to happen is I would not be surprised if Bellinger is still a free agent partway through the preseason.
That would not shock me because it's like the old adage: pitching.
Yeah, they'll overpay for the pitchers.
They'll overpay for the pitchers because you have to have pitching.
Right.
You can live without a Cody Bellinger and his $200 million for a guy that's had one good season and a halfway decent one the year before that. But you can live without that. But you gotta have. If you don't have pitching, you're sunk.
Right.
That's why a lot of people thought Baltimore would go out and trade for somebody. Well, they still might, but the problem with trading for Dylan Cease is that that's a nice pickup, but then he'd be a free agent after 1 year, and you'd have to pay him.
I mean, they're not out of the range of signing either one. I mean, Snow
they can sign
Montgomery.
Well, look, if you're Montgomery, you pitched against that team.
Yeah.
You know what they have.
Right.
How would you like to come to Baltimore with that young team and be on that staff? Oh my goodness.
Right.
You're going to be in the running for years.
Yeah, and they got enough. I've been saying it. They're stacked in the minors.
They got traded
For they're going to make some moves either now or when the season starts. Don't be surprised that Baltimore ain't a big
If Baltimore could pick up Cease or Corbin Burns from Milwaukee, they'd be really tough next year.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, my Philly friends are making fun of the Kimbrel move, and I was like, well, he's not going to close. It just extends their bullpen.
He's going to be he's going to be
7th, 8th guy.
The 7th, 8th inning guy. That's that. They're talking about him being the 7th, 8th inning guy, or even bringing him in earlier if they have to get a matchup. Earlier. I mean, you still have pitched to 3 guys, but if bring him in the 5th inning,
not if it's 2 outs.
Yeah, so. Right. But if you bring him in, if you got 2 men on and a left hand, he's left-handed, right? Is he left-handed or right-handed? I can't remember. Oh, he's right-handed. Okay.
Because he stands there with his arm.
Yeah, that's right. You got 2 men on and Judge coming up. Okay, let's bring him in just to face Judge because he might just get him out.
Right.
Because I got a left-hander on the mound. So it's, you know what? He kind of let Philadelphia down somewhat, but they can't blame it all on him.
Right.
They made some fielding mistakes that cost them, and they stopped hitting.
Right.
The last 2 games, they did not hit, and neither did Houston, and that's why they didn't have the repeat World Series, because both teams stopped hitting home runs the last couple of games, and they lost.
Right.
And that's what can happen to the Dodgers.
Yeah. The West is still pretty stacked out there. So the Dodgers needed to make some big moves because
Arizona has a good ball club.
Right. Then you got the Giants who made some moves, and San Diego just ran out of games. So
and they're still pliable. They're viable. I'm pliable.
Well,
that means they bend a lot.
Yeah, well, they do bend a lot. Getting rid of Soto is a big bat in that lineup that they're losing, but they got other bats. It's not like
they still have Tatis. They still have. They
Bogarts.
Yeah, they've still got Machado.
Just
the problem with San Diego was the back end of the lineup couldn't hit. They couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat.
Right. They need a better hitting catcher for depth, but they need a better catcher overall. Nola is not the answer. I never thought he was. But and then they probably need a little bit better first base, and then they'll be better all around. I think they'll have some bounce back in other positions, but we'll see. We'll see, and on them, that's a wait and see moment. Anything else that's come to mind, Dad, for you for this upcoming? We're getting fast and fast approaching on the.
Well, tomorrow's a big day, and I'm looking forward tomorrow morning because
we're recording this on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, this is Christmas Eve. Sunday, it's Christmas Eve. We're recording it, and tomorrow morning we're going to pack the car up with all the gifts for everybody. But the most important thing is my little great granddaughter is going to be 2 years old, and this Christmas she's going to kind of know what it's all about. Right. Last Christmas she was just standing there with her eyes open, going, "What is all this?" So this year she's going to. And she's going when Nanny and Pawpaw show up to spoil her a little bit, then she'll be happy. She'll be real happy. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I'm always glad when my son comes home, and I just hope everybody. This is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that everybody is safe, because a lot of us are going to be driving some. We got to drive 45, 50 minutes. So please, if you're going somewhere, just be safe, and don't worry about your diet or anything. Just don't admit it to the doctor next time you see him.
That's right.
I mean, because I tell my doctor, holidays, I'm going to put on weight. I'm sorry. From Thanksgiving through Christmas, the old man's putting on weight because I'm not going to, I had an oral surgery the other day, so I've kind of watched what I've eaten. But it's feeling a lot better now, so I might pig out this afternoon.
Now, for you, Dad, growing up, so when Christmas came around, you said you got a football one year. Did you ever get any baseball stuff?
Oh yeah. My Christmas? Yeah, sure. Because we still played in the backyards and stuff. I mean,
right.
So some of the kids would get. We didn't get baseballs,
right?
But we get gloves. That's one of the things we always asked for was gloves. So we did, because we didn't have enough gloves to go around when all of us were playing.
Right.
So a lot of us kids asked for gloves, and if half of us got gloves, boom, we were set.
Right.
Now you got to remember, sometimes we only had 3 or 4 kids. Mm-hmm. So what we did then. We went out in the woods, we cut down, got my dad's tools, went out in the woods with a saw and cut down these saplings, got some chicken wire from Gary Tuck's garage. And we went out there, and H.R. Kahn's what used to be a cow pasture with no cows anymore. We put up backstop. So when the ball, we didn't have a catcher. So when the ball was thrown to the batter, we were playing home run derby. The field ran, and there was a road, a little dirt road that ran out there. And if you hit the ball over the road, and there was an outfielder out there, so there was 4 of you playing, 3 or 4 of you. There was a guy pitching and 2 guys in the outfield and a guy batting. And if the ball was caught, you were out. But if it went into the road or over the road, it was a home run, and whoever won home run derby. And we'd play all afternoon out there, and we put the chicken wire up so the ball wouldn't. We wouldn't have to chase the ball as far. So I mean, we had all these little things we came up with. We were very inventive because you didn't have all the kids now. And sometimes I got a bat one year, and of course everything was wooden.
Right.
And I had a wooden bat, and my dad came home from North Carolina where he lived, and he brought me a bat. And that summer, halfway through the summer, it cracked. And so I had to go tape it up. So I played with the tape. We played with that tape bat until at the end of the summer it finally shattered, and that was the end of it. So I asked my dad, I said, Dad, I'm going to need a new bat next year. And he said, I don't think so. You didn't take care of this one. So another lesson learned.
Yeah, because I mean, growing up, I was lucky enough, where y'all would get me because in the winter, I'm sitting here thinking,
well, you played Little League from the time you were 6 years old.
So we always got the stuff for the season at the season. So that's why I was wondering. So
there was 2 things you could play after Christmas when you were a little kid. That was baseball and Star Wars.
Right.
Because that's what you wanted for Christmas.
Right.
You asked Santa Claus, you wanted the baseball stuff or you wanted Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
That's what you got for Christmas.
Right. I got some board games too.
Well, yeah, that was for the whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
But you got it, but all the boys came over and we played all the board games. But it was a whole different world back then, son. We didn't have Little League. So we played, we had footballs and we'd play kickball and we'd go outside and my sister and her friends would jump rope and play jacks, and we had marbles. We played marbles, and I mean there was a whole lot of different things.
Right.
It was a whole different world back then.
Played stick.
And we played capture the flag, kick the can,
right.
And then we'd have during baseball season in the early years nobody had TV, so all of us listened to the games on radio.
Right.
And then when we got a TV in the spring of '54, when I was in the 2nd grade, and we were one of the first ones to get a TV. Right. And then later on, when the little transistor radios came out, Robert Martin had one, and he'd bring it. I told this before. He'd bring it into school and put the little plug in his ear. When the game started at 1 or 2 o'clock, we get out at 3, and just 3 o'clock in the 6th grade, Mr. Craven, who was our teacher, he looked and he said, "Hey, Robert, what's the score?" Because he knew he was listening to the game and signaling us with 2-1, and they always signaling. So he said, "Hey, Robert, what's the score?" Because he knew he was listening to the games. Yeah. I mean, it was a pretty good time to grow up in, and there certainly wasn't the. Let me put it to you this way: it was a lot gentler and nicer world to live in. It wasn't for all people, but it was for most of us. And it was just a different world back then. If I voted Democratic and you voted Republican, we weren't enemies. We just disagreed on politics and went out and played together or ate dinner together. I mean, it just didn't matter. It didn't matter, but now it does. And that's sad. It's sad.
Well, that being said, I just was thinking about that, and this being Christmas, and I was just asking, just thoughts out there. So I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, whatever you are doing.
Happy Hanukkah or whatever the holiday is.
Whatever, or however you want to spend these few days. Hopefully you don't have to work. I feel for my retail brethren that I know how it feels right now. It's almost over with. So
here's another thing. Very Merry Christmas to our military, everybody in the military, because they have to work, and to our first responders, our policemen, our firemen, the people in the hospital, the EMTs, all of those people that have to work on the holiday. We can't thank you enough for what you do for us.
Right. So until next time, like, share, tell a friend, and welcome to all my new subscribers, and we'll see ya.